Race, gender, and other relations have been something of a complexity, and it never had to be. Bold statement, true, but the relations between the races have again become a newer phenomenon in stress, which is a clever way of creating divisions within a large and powerful group. As the old saying goes, divide and conquer. Separate a large group by women and men, then spare them by the color of their skin. Then make up stories to make them fight against each other, easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Yeah, look at that video there. You can see my hair is growing back. I'm letting it grow back. I'll shave it again, but how do you guys like that clip for the moment? That intro clip. It's frustrating because, well, it's not frustrating yet. But if you look back in time, it's the little intro clips are talking about different things that we all see and are there and are here and are real and are our reality as the great middle class of America, but they're still here. I mean, what's the old saying? If the human brain can conceive it and believe it, it can achieve it. You see that in movies. You see that in examples everywhere, and that's not a new comment, right? That's a known element. So what we're going to go through today, we're going to expand. I did a show earlier. Actually, I finished up a show about a half hour ago. I was supposed to just go on. I was going to do something. I'm really excited about this new world that I live in. And when I say I'm just using me as an example because I know everybody has different worlds. But the world that I'm living in is relevant to what I want to talk about, to what everybody can be living in, because we talk about AI and automation a lot. In that, the question always comes up, is there going to be a new way of making money? How is that going to all evolve? So I'm just going to spend a little bit on money matters, wages, cost of living, taxes, the real financial pressures hitting families today. We're going to spend a little bit of time on that. But let me show you how it works. So this show, as you know, we dig deeper into subjects. We'll take a number of subjects, and they're relatively different each day. Unfortunately, too many of the news cycles. Unfortunately, today's very different. We're not celebrating, but we're remembering 9/11, the anniversary of being attacked at that level. And now we're just dying by 1,000 cuts, just paper cuts, man. And yesterday, I was a fan, but I wasn't a fan. It was like, he made good points. It just, he wasn't my, you can tell how I am. I'm very independent. And he's a little less independent. But I love listening to the back and forth and hear both sides and see how that evolved each and every time. Now, I know they're edited ones, and I didn't watch all of them, obviously. There's tons of them, right? I would assume. We did hundreds a day, right? Something like that. But he was executed. He was murdered yesterday. Like just under 24 hours ago. And I'm still, a lot of people are, and that's the bad thing. No, it's not the bad thing, actually. How are people writing and making memes about this? How is this culture devolved in such a way that comes out? It's like there's a victory lap going on for somebody executing somebody who opened dialogue. I mean, the whole thing is horrible. I mean, the same thing happened. Man, if a millimeter away, Trump could have had the same exact thing 2 times. Well, one was a millimeter away, or however close that was, right? It tore off part of his ear just as he turned. Damn, that was kind of some up. But here on social media, I don't know. And the House didn't even want to part of the House didn't even want to have a moment of silence for him, for Kurt yesterday being executed. For a person, whether you believed in his views or not, which a lot of them I didn't. I thought they were too much, but that's me, man. But that's why I listen, because I learned. I don't want to see the execution of somebody else's voice. That's insane. And then there's the celebration. So we're going to get into politics and, power plays. There's world global perspectives, obviously the Jerusalem, Palestine thing. I'm really wanting to open up on that a bit because there's so much coming from both sides. And I don't know if it's just becoming better storytellers or is something else been told to us the whole time that hasn't been considered. I don't know. I'm keeping it vague because I know it's still radically crazy, I think. But honestly, I think this is going to change with what's going on. I think the world is going to have a continuing and a faster shift to the right, because I think there's some really weird. Okay, hold your ears. There's some really weird fucking people on the left side. And not even the extreme left. From the Karen, which is less extreme. A white suburban woman, Karen. That term, you know what that means. There's the woke term. We all know these terms. From Karen, and then it gets into radical hair colors and screams in your faces and these barking dogs and identifying as things that don't even make sense. Forget about identifying as a different this or that hormone. There's some other identification going on. So we're this show. We run an hour. We kick off with some commentary here, updates from me around 8 to 10 minutes. The questions start coming in. Live audience jumps in with those questions. There's probably going to be, I don't know, over the course of the show, it depends. I'm not looking at the questions yet, actually. Let me move this aside. Pull up the questions. Yeah, we're still settling in. Probably exhausted from the earlier show. We're not quite 8 minutes in yet. So we're not even 8 minutes in yet. But, like I was saying, we're going to get probably 20, 30 live interactions with the audience. We're going to talk about those different things. And I hope we do, I'm trying to bring several things into today's discussion because, unfortunately, it's like it's been for a long time in that the news headlines of the day basically surround a half a dozen different things, and none of them are really ever any good. I know that's how news works, but let's change that. I've been talking to for the Generation School project. I've been sending emails now. I'm meeting with some different people. Might be meeting a lady from the library board later on today. She's down in downtown working on something. So she said give her a text when I get some free time, because she texted me and said, "Hey, I'm here. If you want to continue that conversation." I said, "Yeah, absolutely. I'm going on the show." And she goes, "Hey, text me whenever whenever you're gonna be around, and I'll let you know." So I'm told her an hour-ish or so. But excited about that. I mean, there's not really a lot yet happening. There's a lot of really great feedback, support. I've got business people from my industry. A guy by the name of Kurt said, "Hey, how can I help out?" And I've gotten half a dozen of those. I'm like, "Look, I'm looking for anything. I need experience. I need support. What directions I go." I reached out to an old high school buddy of mine on the wrestling team. His name's Sean. He was in the Senate a number of years ago in a totally different state. But advice from people, the legal stuff. When am I going to be coming up? Anything. especially in Mangum. If there's counselors around here, teachers around here, a lot of teachers are really interested, and not just here, anybody I talk to, and excited about this program because it's giving. I mean, it's giving kids a voice. I mean, what's wrong? What could ever be wrong with that? We want our kids to be that generation that builds. But what we're doing is can we totally eliminate drugs? Can we totally eliminate all the things, the depression, the suicide? Can we totally eliminate that? Because what those things are caused by is the inner child, the mind, the what that child has experienced and seen through. And if we could start from where that is and meet that and walk that through and have counselors go through and walk them through and coming out the other side of things. But there's a lot to think about. I'm talking about health. I was talking to a lady, a guest on the show, like a week or so ago, week and a half, I guess. And we were talking about this, and it's very, talk about it as much as I can. And it's very exciting conversation. But she brought up a really good point that I hadn't thought about. And that point being, so kids' personality develops from birth to 5. Basically, that's when it locks in. The other thing we don't want to do in a regeneration school program is while we're, later on, it becomes a no-brainer. But in that early stage, it's interesting what needs to be looked at, because you also don't want to develop a kid's personality for them accidentally, and I'm not even talking about gene manipulation. I never had looked at that. When she brought it up, I'm like, yeah, that's a really good point. So there's things I need help with. And right now the team is me. And I'm a really good team, in my opinion. But anyway, so, why do you watch this? This is mainstream media spin. What this is. This is Insights and Straight Talk, where the great middle class finds a voice. And that's what we're doing here. And that's what's important. You got to join the dialogue, challenge the headlines and connect with a community that refuses to be ignored. We have a movement here. And I'm very excited about the people that are alongside taking this ride. We're figuring out things that, wow. Oh man, this is hey guys, man, there's a big bunch. This is probably the biggest crowd I've had in at least a month, a few weeks. Hey, thank you guys. I appreciate you being here. Start feeding some questions. The first thing I'm going into is just real quickly, I'm going to touch on money matters for the middle class, wages, the cost of living, taxes, and the real financial pressures hitting families today. And that's across the board. And the unfortunate thing is, I said something the other day. The unfortunate thing is that this isn't new. For decades and decades, the middle class has basically lived from paycheck to paycheck. And the lady I had on a week or so ago, that has 9 companies. She actually built back from being on the street. Fascinating woman, Natalia, beautiful woman, inside and out. And she was talking about, well, it's not even that. It's people are literally taking out credit cards to pay off things, getting themselves further in debt. And then that spin cycle starts and it becomes horrible, and horrific. So I was talking about that, those things that are kicking our butts. And in the earlier show, check it out. I don't have, excuse me. I just decided to do that because I just found that out and I'm so excited. As you know, my job's completely different. I used to run a machinery business, landlocked, a lot of things negative about that business, building it up over 30 years. And a lot of positives. And the biggest thing is that I started to realize I enjoyed doing this and marketing for it. I started Insights just as a marketing thing to help the business. I talked to, interviewed, and you can see the videos on there on the business channel, or Vein or Stream or Lane. uh, on the YouTube channel. But I was enjoying that and marketing the company more than actually dealing with the employees and engineering and engineers and all great people, but just I was living somebody else's life, somebody else's script. And, you talk about, and I'm going to bring a little tweak here, talk about the transgender living somebody else's life or in somebody else's body, however that works. I felt that. I mean, it didn't take any surgery, but it took, well, in this case, it took a mental breakdown for me to finally get on my case, on my lane, in my life. And that's this. So if we could start in the regeneration program, we could start school program, if we can start with kids and then helping with adults going up, this is huge. It's gigantic. And I tie that into the money because I've learned a number of really cool online programs that, like Creator Bounty. It's got a cool name, obviously, Creator Bounty. But what it is it's a billboard that says, hey, I've got this job. It's going to pay this. It requires 20 minutes of time, 8 minutes of time. I don't know, maybe a couple hours, maybe not. And they all vary in cost and explain what it is. And you say, hey, I'm going to apply for that, click, and all your stuff's in there. So then, boom, you accept the job, then you do the work, then you upload it inside there, and then there's this whole follow-up thing if you want to, reach back out to people. Hey, I've got this idea. Would you be interested in doing this? But that you just have people coming to you saying, hey, I need this work done. It's pretty exciting. It's pretty cool. That's something I'm trying to build to go into the regeneration school program. Right now, I'm just trying to fund it, just trying to get it alive, keeping the lights on here as well. And how, today was a horrible day. I mean, let's face it, the politics that we have going on. Hey, man, I appreciate you guys being here. You guys got any comments on what we're chatting about yet at this point? We're going to get into a little bit of Charlie Cook here. Politics and power plays. It's kind of some of the stuff we're getting. We talk about a lot because it's a very divided country. It shouldn't be. I don't know why it is right. I know why it is. I know how it became this way. I mean, you looked in the earlier, and that's why I put this section right here specifically is why I put that part going into the pre-show. It is because it's that old conquer, divide and conquer. We feel that going on. We feel this happening, and we need to make that go away. First men and women, the genders, right? You have all just pair it up. Look at that opening line and just figure out what it looks like in there compared to what's happening right now, what's happening in the media, what these battles, these fights, these discussions are that go on and carry through the world. You look at, and again, we'll get to the worldview stuff. Hey, Mac, I'll get to you in a second. Hey, you were on the last show. How you doing, man? I'll get to you in a second. But seriously, the rest of the world is fed up with all the and fighting back against the evil that has been going on in communities across this nation and then across the world. And it's so disturbing because there's one part of this country that just doesn't see that. And it makes you feel like, are you living in reality? How can it be so different? And then you look at the news medias, and the ones that are just kind of, they're, I'm going to say this, and this may or may not be right, but I'm going to say it. I'm not big enough for anybody to do anything about it or want to do anything about it, I would assume. But the MSNBC, if you ever watch that, and I do watch it. I watch CNN. I watch I-24, the Israel channel. I watch BBC. I watch, obviously, I watch the both sides of, I said CNN already, Fox. I watch, and then sometimes I watch some of the a little bit more hardcore stuff. But my point being, I wouldn't want to watch Sean Hannity all the time, let's say, because that's a very extreme view. Well, it's a very hardcore view, and the style is just a little too, peacocky for me. I don't know how bad. I don't know if I could compare him really to what I want to say talk about as MSNBC. They seem to pump out radicalism, literally radicalism, telling complete, flat out, bald-faced lies and manipulation of words and manipulation of cutting up I mean, you've seen ABC even cut edits in videotapes, changing the thing that was said. And that's what we're dealing with. And that's what's creating, like I said, I know why we're here, but why aren't a lot higher percentage yet? And I got to believe it's going to change, but why aren't this higher percentage of a brand of people, wow, interesting, coming to look at things a little more, at least reasonably, and giving some lead and some way to a differing point of view. Charlie Kirk was killed yesterday. He was executed. Today is 9/11, but yesterday that happened, and these memes within minutes, I think from some of them, I was told and seen that you're talking before it was even totally confirmed that he had passed. And I have seen the video, and I wish I wouldn't have, but it looks like exactly what you would think. Like you've seen the old westerns, and I haven't seen westerns in the old days when there was some video out there, back in the world wars and all that, and people get shot, and that's what it looks like, and it's just as devastating is a word, I guess. Well, anyway, let's get on to Mac's question here. How do we fight rising grocery prices effectively? Oh, wow. Okay. Okay. Finances. We were just talking about finances. The fact that having, well, first of all, checking your budget, and I gave you from the past. I don't even know if it's like that. Yeah. That, I hope that's the right one. Somebody push that and let me know. But my son Brandon does a show that's well, one of the shows is, he does a lot of different, he has a number of different businesses, but one of the shows he does is called Be Money, and he's got, the relationship is varied in there, but it as far as the businesses go, but this link here has a section in it that shows that budget. This is what this is, that is. I mean, these are things that people have always known about. You got to do them. The beauty is today the automation, which is no code automation. In other words, you give it your information and it does it automatically. Like Rocket Money the other day said, hey, I just noticed a number of different this and this and this and this. will save you $428 over the next, I think it was 28 days or something, because they're wasted interest. No, it's over the next couple of months. But it just automatically, and then if you may have things that you have on, like I just got an alert for something I didn't know about, it's an automatic payment. And so it does all that for you now. So you're talking about hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, and maybe more dollars a year. That's offsetting some burden of the grocery. I think as more efficiencies get in with automation, the natural cost of living is going to go down greatly. That's not going to happen overnight, but that's where that's kind of where it follows into. So as far as fighting the rising grocery prices, one, managing money is an obvious. Two is taking a look at what kind of family. I'm struggling with this a little bit now, because I'm trying to think, really, is that the biggest financial strain right now? Because I mean, there's a lot of it. I mean, you mentioned other grocery prices, and gas prices are going back down. And if you look at least gas prices, I think paid like $2.30. There may be some $3 pricing out there, but if it's not getting a 4 or so, I mean, you're talking about numbers that have been around for decades for gas. So depending on what your priorities are for groceries, also buying choices have an effect on that. And living within your standard is a big deal, and that goes back to the budgeting side, and I'm not throwing rocks in a glass house, because I'm in a glass house. I'm not going to throw any rocks, but from experience, how the standard of living that you expect versus the revenue you're generating. So are you meeting your standard of living for what you're able to afford? Is that balancing? And Brandon harps on it all the time, and I get it, because he looks at, you should not ever be spending more than you're bringing in cardinal sin, right? Anything like that. That's why when I see people like the lady who was on a few weeks back, owns a number of companies, talking about seeing people who are applying for credit card to pay off bills. But then they look at what they have coming in and what they have going out, and they're not balanced. And that, obviously, the grocery bills, you got to eat to survive, but lights, clothes, camera action, all that other stuff affects that too. We are living in a time, though, and that's where that creator bounty came in when I was talking about that earlier, because people are asking me questions like this all the time, Mac. How do we balance that out? These are around the dinner table questions, day in and day out, much less anybody who has special needs, meaning they have additional costs that they have burdened on them. Some easy, simple, the term used to be around. I don't know if it's popular anymore, but it was really popular a while ago. Side hustle is very easy to do. And with technology today, I'm doing something totally different than I was doing before. The standard of living is directly my desire, whatever that is. To be able to match the revenues from that for that standard of living. Rochelle, hey, you were in the last show. Hey, thank you for coming in. I appreciate that. Is the middle? Ooh, this is a good one here. This is a lot. This is a big one. Yeah, Rochelle, I feel you on this, man. I definitely feel you on this. The middle class she's asking here, is the middle class shrinking faster than we think? I think it is. It has been. There's a lot of questions that are being asked and going on and kind of vibrating around as far as economics, our economy. It's always I talk about my grandkids' generation is very important to me. One, because she's my grandkid. That's the bigger reason. But also, like I tell her, we need your generation to be strong, to have the next generation, my sons and our daughters, that generation, college kids. I think there's some things that are happening right now that's going to wake that group up. That group is not, I lived in the baby boomer times, meaning I was at the very end of the baby boomers looking at it and what was going on. Vietnam was going on, the 60s, Heights, Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco, Ohio, famous song, people killed, Democratic riots. There was a lot of stuff happening that I was not part of. The college kids in my generation, like the college kids today, and my grandkids, it's kind of a mirrored look in a way, but it's kind of, what was that, Black Mirror? There was a show, or I think it's probably still on. I think it was Netflix, pretty sure, but it was like twisted stories, and it was kind of a scary show. It's kind of weird, but what my point is, the kids today are going through, and they're seeing that generation react, just like I saw that generation in the 60s react, doing all these things. The college kids, what were they doing? And it's the same sort of things. It's that rebellious fighting back against the government, but it was for two different, completely idealistically different opposing reasons. One reason, and I'm biased, but it's the truth, one idealistic reason was for people who were sorry about that, fighting for ideals for this country. Vietnam was not good, in their opinion, this is not a political opinion. Vietnam was not good for this country, in their opinion. So they were fighting that. The racism, they were fighting racism. The democratic, the different clashes between government, and there was some flag burning, but there wasn't destroying of national temples, statues, and beyond and beyond. So there's that group that's fighting these purposes that all started to clash. The people and the government, the people couldn't take it anymore, so they clashed. They made their voices heard. They came after the government for change. And we all know the history. Today, the same sort of things are happening, but they're fighting against this country for other countries. And it's almost like it's the Trojan horse, where it looks like that, which is an honorable, maybe you liked it or didn't, were supportive or not, know about it a little or a lot, but it was for something. That's a Trojan horse. And they've wrapped themselves up in that. And it seems like it's a takeover, like all over the world, not just here. And Islamic, and I'm not being Islamophobic, but I mean, look where the argument's coming from. I'm just Islam, right? That an Islam thing. I would say the Quran, but that's like the Bible, Christianity. There's that battle going on. And remember, producer Barbie used to talk about this a lot. But there's going to be another battle, that final battle before the end of days, right? I'm not saying that's that, but it just popped in my head right now as I was talking about that. because it's a crazy world we're living in right now. I mean, why is all this happening? What is the bigger picture that is beyond the screen curtains? What aren't we seeing that's going on that's making all this come about? I have a lot of. I'm a curious guy, and I know a little tiny bit about a whole lot of things. You start putting those dots when you're connecting them. Start connecting those dots together. You start putting that in your experience, in your peoples, and you start talking to your other peoples. After you saw it in your peoples, some pictures start to go, okay, something's amiss here. You know, it's like your gut instinct. You know, your brain, your heart, your gut. Those are your three brains. And we talk about that a lot in the show. Just a lot going on, guys, man. I'm telling you. Amy, how does global oil markets hit our gas prices so fast? Well, I mean, it depends. Well, it doesn't depend, but it depends on how fast the usage is. Because what it is it's the price per barrel of oil, right? That's what the effect at the pump eventually is, and food and everything else. So what happens is your price for a barrel of oil, let's say it's consistent, your prices don't ever really change. You know, a little bit here, a little bit there. It's not like it's a daily change of gas price. But let's say we're doing 10 barrels of oil a month. I'm just going to try and keep the numbers easy. And the cost per barrel of oil is $100. So after that month, if along the time the prices of that barrel of oil has gone up, depending on how much it went up or didn't, there will be an end of the usage, a consumption of this amount of oil per barrel until you get into the next consumption of oil per barrel. And when you do that, you're recognizing now an increase in cost, which is passed on to the customer. And that goes in a lot of things. You know, oil's the basis of our country. That's why when people say, let's go all what do you call it? Green energy. How the fuck are we going to do that? I mean, we can, I assume at some point, but we need better energy than green. We need something more powerful than that. And we need to be able to build into it because transportation, you can have electric cars, but what's generating the electricity? Oil. And you know how many cubic meters, miles of concrete and how deep that concrete has to go to put up every single tower? And the oil used to create and deliver and install that concrete, the poles, the fiber glass, the wings, lubricating those big ass things, though that windmill, that will never ever offset the carbon footprint. Never. It's a loss for the carbon initiative. And in my opinion, carbon, solar, the heating of our world, you know, the shifts in temperatures, the melting of iceberg. You notice the icebergs are melting from underneath, not from the top. This is a natural thing that happens. It's a shifting of how our Earth takes care of itself, and it's just going to be warmer. I mean, we're basically getting into the dinosaur days, the more lush, more if more happens. But I mean, it's a very small amount. So, we're running around chasing sparkly things as the middle class, but we should be really directing our politicians to be spending time on things that matter, which is making the great middle class the backbone of the economy, the backbone of industry, just like in every other economic or financial structure in the world. Every other country in the world, the backbone is the working class or the middle class. The hundreds of millions of our population, right? I mean, what do we got? 3-something 100 million people. 90% of those are the middle class, maybe more than that. So, what are we going to do? Are we going to have some call to action here? Are we going to get into like the community and culture? What Emma Lynn is doing. Emma Lynn, Insights and Straight Talk with your host, co-host Emma Lynn, and Grandpa Rodd. That is leaning into, it's called the Talk Around the Table, the Teen Talk Project. It's leaning into the Regeneration School Project, where we really want to bring in and bring down to a street level the ability for teens to be able to have open conversations where their voice is heard. And then you add to that this program of the Regeneration School, where now Emma and I are in our 7th. Oh, by the way, she probably is going to pop on and say hi to everybody for a minute, but Mama and said, "Hey, you're going to help me and her aunt, her mom said my sister, needs to move, do a little moving. You're going to help me early in the morning. Sorry, girl, I love you, but Grandpa's got to go solo." So I said, "Hey, just pop on and say hi." Okay, so unfortunately, we're going to be talking about the same things. We're going to be talking about this program, answering your questions. Do you have questions? I'm not looking at them. Why, you guys are kind of quiet today. What's going on? Why is everybody so quiet? I had 10, 15, 20 quite really good questions last show. Maybe I'll wear you guys out. You just want to listen to me talk. Hopefully, this is a good show for you guys. I like it. I mean, we're getting into some true talking points, some true thinking points about each little subject as we talk about, with the community and culture and the Regeneration School program. We're not there. We're Emma and I are in our 7th episode, and that has that's really grown quite a bit. It's done very well. You guys have brought good questions, and there's some communication between. I noticed more and more teens getting on that, as well as parents. I don't know if they're the same or not. Parent of a teen or whatever. But that's really cool because you're seeing realistic questions, and Emma's, she's just laying out. Look, it's this or that. I mean, and it's so funny because I think a lot more of us are going to start to realize we've had these lessons available to us and these thoughts and this process forever, and we just never have done it. So it's an interesting. This show continually blows my mind. Well, I'll tell you what. This whole. So we're gonna before I go into the next, I want to get into the next thing because it's important to me, and I don't see enough talk about it. I think people are still afraid to talk about it. But before that, we're right now in 7 episodes with Emma and Emma Lynn and Grandpa Rodd. I'm talking to and hopefully and working on. Sorry, not hopefully. I will be done. As you wanted, Lord, it shall be done. And hopefully, this is the message the journey I'm on from the message I'm hearing and following, and get smacked in the head really hard if I ever lean off of it anymore. So I kind of think I'm pretty right, but the next phase of that is a 3-month period at some building downtown, we bring in teens from around Greer County, certainly Mangum, several hundred students in this class or that class or that class. Several students come in as they want, some sort of setup, I don't know, some sort of thing. That got to talk to them about it, but I sent out emails to the school folks, administration folks, and principals, and some school administrative people. Already talked to one of the library, so I've got to hit each different area to see where I can kind of work that in, because it's just like selling anything else. And this is a pretty dramatic program in the big picture. It's a world-changing program, forever changing the human race, literally. That's what's so exciting about it, and it's realistic. We spend billions, we waste billions of dollars in what do you call it, Band-Aid programs. Let's fix the problem. Let's just fix it. I mean, let's literally fix it. You've heard the term, it takes a community to raise a child, or raise a family. Huh, there it is. It's right there, man. Let's do it. So that 3-month program is people coming in. Then after that, we start pairing those kids that have been coming in with an experimental, kind of small little, not experimental, what do they call it when you do counselors that volunteer, clergy people, pastors. There's 12 different churches in this little town, and other people, maybe teachers, as counselors to be assigned to a student to follow them through their journey. Let's give it we could get out of the year, certainly we could get a lot of stats. Maybe not all stats. I don't know. That I need help. These are administrative things that'd be really cool to know better of or more about. Then it gets into a point where we're actually implementing a program, assuming those first two. So the second one goes for 18 months. No, goes for 9 months. And then the third one is 18 months. So it's basically over the next couple of years. And the third one being much more implementing it within a system. And at that point, there's going to be need funds to fund it. And then from there, it's small enough in Mangum to be able to control a pilot is what I was looking at. Control to organize and understand and put together a little pilot in Mangum. But you run that through, and then you have AI collecting data and stuff. The weekly with the parent presentation the kid gives, and this is what I've done there. Kids learning about finances, learning about this, their life lessons, the fifth core in right next to your academics. But we got to get there first. The third is when that starts to take a look, starts to be seen, the picture comes out. That's when the next. So then we can start to scale that. I've got presentations to the Senate, to the Congress, to the House, but first local. And in the past, Oklahoma has had a really good reputation about their school system. So I'm excited about that. Let me see. Do we have? Wow, you guys are really quiet today. Did I turn something off? I wonder. It's really interesting. I don't know what happened, but so as we go on in the global perspective, I want to talk about a little bit about the Jewish Palestine conflict that has been a conflict forever, right? I mean, the Bible talks about this part of the world. I want to open up this dialect about this. I really want. The Russia thing is hopefully getting done, but I don't know if there's anything. I think that's kind of understood by people. I believe. I think so. I may be wrong, and maybe I'm just thinking about the fact that it's not in the news cycle right now. So maybe there's more about it that people still. But that whole area there is there's a lot of political stories that go through the media that concern me, that they paint a picture a certain way and we believe it. We believe in the old days back in the 60s and 70s when Walter Cronkite, ABC, NBC News, was a powerful. The paper was a newsworthy item, knowing what's going on in the world, how this stuff's going to affect your pocketbook, like the person said in one of the last questions. Those things are never more true than today, and so in that conflict, I think people start to understand that was about just putting money all into the weaponry system, funding, basically giving billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars, maybe more, another billions of dollars, so that weapons can be. And that's a big thing about war anyway. We came out of each World War way more industrious than we were before. Problem is now it's not. Well, first of all, war's horrible. It's terrible. Death is not a good thing. I get it. I don't know how we wouldn't be. I wonder what the world would be like if we never had a war. If this world never had a war and nobody ever died from war, meaning not only did they not die, but then they had kids who had kids who had kids. How many? We're 7.8 billion people on the earth. I wonder if we'd be at 10, 20 billion or more people on the earth. I wonder what the whole world would look like then. It's funny it's not funny. It makes you think though. In my book, chapter 13, it's called "Blinded by the Light," and it's really looking at spirituality, religion. It's looking at how, but it's not a church lesson in any stretch of the word. But it explores. First of all, it says, okay, there's one God. If you look at every religion, let's say there's a top four. I'd put Buddhism in that, even though it's technically not a religion, but okay. Then there's really 7. There's some quote unquote other religions, but every single one of them have a different doctrine to a degree, less than you would think, but they all believe in and refer to the exact same God. And they then also refer to exact moments in biblical history that we know about, that I know about in the Bible, the flood, the different. I'm not an expert, okay, whatever. But all these different events that happen, the parting of the sea, those are referred to, and the angels going up. These are referred to, the different levels of heaven and hell. These are referred to in each of these other books, religions. And when I say referred to, they're described as the same. If you dig into them and look at them, which I'm just learning this from other sources as well. So I'm learning this as well, but it's kind of bizarre. There's that. I talk about divide and conquer. I wonder if that started right out of the gate. My God, talk about dividing us and conquering. What if we all believe the same thing-ish? We had our own world, our own lives. We have our own governments, but we aren't divided and divided all the time. So our governments each can conquer us. It's crazy. So, that just kind of gets me that we're not given that straight information. It should be demanded much more from us. We give up too much to the swamp. And I really appreciate Donald Trump for starting that term, because I think for the first time people looked at politicians as just people, good, bad, or indifferent. The swamp is full of bad ones because we've let them become bad ones. As far as the system, so here we are. The Russia-Ukraine deal, I don't know if we do know yet, but I think we kind of know what was that about. But things you may not know is there were promises already made, and there's different things about where the land territory is for Russia in defending herself. So there may be some justification there that isn't described. I don't know all that, but I think there's more to it than that. But it's not as, I think it's going to wind down pretty quick. Now, the Palestine-Israel thing is a bizarre thing because I don't know if that'll ever settle down. You know, there's a peace deal on the table right now that both sides want to do, and it includes giving the hostages back. But now there's fighting in Palestine. Now, I haven't heard today or yesterday, the day before, maybe yesterday during the morning. Of course, Charlie Kirk is the big news of the day today. And that's, you know, I wasn't a Charlie Kirk fan. I liked what he did. His format was awesome, and I liked that. And I liked how he was able to put himself in positions of talking to people about their views. Primarily, I think almost only. Well, no, he did the British Parliament before, and no, that was Cambridge. I think that was Cambridge. But all over the world to college students to talk about their views, and there was good dialogue back and forth. And so, but again, everything that everybody thinks in that view, I didn't agree with everything at all. But killer, dude, seriously, that was bizarre. So the Palestine, so you know the leftists in our own country. There's a whole thing that's very concerning about what's happening in the world, around the world today, and I hope that it's going to be something that gets cleared up. That this administration, you know, honestly, it could be Charlie Kirk that is the turning point for this, because I think people people on the conservative right side who've always just, you know, let's live our lives, let them live theirs. You know, I'm not here to, just don't encumber me. I think now there's a little bit of a point where especially the younger people of today, I think they're pissed. And I think there's going to be some clash back. I hope it doesn't turn into, well, I hope it doesn't go too far. We have so much in this country, and we have done so much in this country, good, bad, and indifferent. How does global oil markets hit the gas prices so fast? It's just a consumption rate, and that's in everything. You're talking about heating, food production. It goes all the way through. Everything that's made in plastic, which is about everything around you right now, is, you know, price per gallon of barrel of oil, and it's just how much that barrel of oil is consumed. You know, and you learn these things here on Insights and Straight Talk. I appreciate you folks being here. I appreciate the awesome questions. You know, I'm Rodd Duff. I'm learning so much out of this, and I'm out.
Before you leave, if you'd like to watch another one of the podcasts, click the first link in the description. We love having you here, and we appreciate all your support.
And with that, producer Barbie and I are out.